The wind howled across the jagged cliffs like a chorus of restless spirits, carrying with it the scent of pine, dust, and danger. Somewhere in the shadowed canyon below, a lone figure rode, the hooves of his horse, striking the frozen earth in rhythm, with his own racing heartbeat. He was a cowboy with no name, or maybe a name nobody cared to remember. But tonight his purpose was clear. Tonight he rode toward the screams that haunted the wilderness. The sun had long dipped beneath the horizon, leaving a crimson streak along the sky, fading into the velvet black of night. Among the trees and rocks, a faint glow flickered, torches, small and desperate, illuminating a scene that made his stomach twist. A woman, bound and terrified, shivered not just from the cold, but from a fear that ran deeper than the mountains themselves. Wolves circled her, their eyes glowing like embers in the darkness, their low growls vibrating through the frozen air. The cowboy's hand went instinctively to the leather, holster strapped across his chest. The weight of the Colt revolver comforted him, but it wasn't the gun that defined him. It was the fire in his veins, the stubborn streak of honor and grit that refused to let evil prevail. He slowed his horse, listening. The wolves were cunning, hungry, intelligent, and worse, they were organized. Not ordinary beasts. There was something almost human in the way they circled, as if they knew their prey. "Easy there, old girl," he whispered to his horse, patting its neck. The horse snorted, sensing his tension. And then he saw it, a shadow moving in the torchlight. The captor, a brutish figure wrapped in furs, sneered at the woman's terror. The woman's dark hair was tangled, her hands raw from the ropes. She had been caught trying to escape, the cowboy realized, a flicker of admiration sparking within him. Even bound, she radiated defiance. A sudden snap of a branch made the cowboy stiffen. The wolves tensed, their hackles raised. He knew he had one shot at this, one chance to strike before the wolves turned on her in earnest. Drawing a deep breath, he kicked his horse forward, the sound of hooves thundering like war drums across the canyon. "Hold on, lady," he muttered under his breath. "Help's coming." The wolves noticed him immediately, their growls turning into blood-curdling howls that split the night. They circled wider, eyes fixed on the moving target. The brute saw him too and laughed, a cruel, guttural sound. "Think you can save her, cowboy?" He jeered. "This ain't your fight." But the cowboy didn't answer. He let his actions speak. The first wolf leapt, teeth bared, fangs glinting under the torchlight. The cowboy swung his lasso with precise fury, looping it around the beast's neck and yanking with all his strength. The wolf yelped, thrashing violently, but he held on, letting the brute's distraction give him the advantage. A second wolf charged from the shadows. He fired once, twice, the bullets cracking through the cold. Night air. One wolf dropped, another retreated into the darkness with a wounded yowl. The cowboy's eyes never left the woman. "Almost there," he whispered. His horse skidded over rocks and dirt, desperate to close the distance. The wind whipped his face, carrying the scent of fear and blood. The brute snarled, drawing a knife, advancing toward the woman. "Not so fast," the cowboy growled. He rolled from the saddle, drawing his revolver with a smooth, deadly motion. The shots rang out, echoing against the canyon walls. Sparks of fire from the torches danced with the muzzle flashes, painting the scene like some violent living painting. The brute fell to the ground, groaning, his knife slipping from his fingers. The woman's eyes widened, disbelief mingling with hope. The cowboy tossed her the end of a rope he carried. "Untie yourself," he commanded. Hands trembling but quick, she freed her wrists, the ropes cutting red streaks into her skin. She didn't speak, words could wait. Action was everything now. The wolves regrouped, circling again, sharper and more feral than before. The cowboy knew they would not relent. They were as much a part of this canyon as the rocks and wind. He grabbed a nearby branch, swinging it with precision to fend off the closest wolf. Another leapt for him, jaws snapping, but he rolled aside, firing as he fell, his bullets finding their mark. One by one, the wolves began to falter, their coordination breaking under his relentless assault. The woman stumbled beside him, shivering violently. We have to move," he urged, taking her arm and pulling her toward the cliffs. The terrain was treacherous, rocks loose underfoot, snow hidden beneath the thin layer of frost. The wolves hesitated, unsure whether to pursue or wait. That hesitation was all the cowboy needed. He reached the edge of a narrow ridge, glancing down into a ravine that promised a quicker escape. "Jump!" he yelled. Without question she did, landing hard but safely on the other side. He followed, feeling every bone protest, but adrenaline drowned the pain. Behind them, the wolves howled in frustration, unable to follow. The brute's cries mingled with the wolves, fading into the night like a broken chorus. The woman collapsed, tears freezing on her cheeks. The cowboy knelt beside her, offering his coat. "You're safe now," he said. She looked at him, eyes wide, words caught somewhere between fear, relief, and gratitude. You saved me," she whispered. Her voice was fragile, yet strong enough to reach his soul. He gave a grim nod. "We've all got our fights," he said. "Some just happen to be bigger than others." They moved together through the forest, the canyon behind them silent except for the wind. Stars pierced the night sky, indifferent witnesses to the terror and courage that had played out below. Somewhere deep in the shadows, the wolves lingered, but their hunger was no match for human will. Hours passed before they reached a safe clearing, where the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, painting the snow with gold and pink hues. The woman wrapped herself tighter in his coat, shivering from cold and exhaustion. "Why? Why did you come for me?" she asked. The cowboy smiled faintly, his eyes distant. "Because someone had to," he said. "And because no one should face the night alone." For a moment they stood in silence, the canyon stretching endlessly around them, vast and untamed. Then with a nod, he mounted his horse again, ready to continue his endless wandering. "Take care of yourself," he said. She nodded, finally speaking with conviction. "I will, and thank you." The cowboy kicked his horse forward, the figure fading into the morning light, leaving only footprints in the snow, a faint trail of hope for anyone brave enough to walk the wild frontier. Somewhere in the distance, a lone wolf howled, a reminder that the wild never sleeps, and that courage is the only shield strong enough to stand against it. And as he rode, the sun rising behind him, the cowboy thought of nothing but the road ahead, the endless horizon, and the knowledge that sometimes the bravest fight isn't for glory or wealth or fame. It's for someone who can't fight for themselves.